Uplifting Way FM. This is the Wally Show, and we have a friend of mine and a guy that you have seen his work all over the place, Mr. Andy Erwin, on with us. I appreciate you. He gave me my start in film many years ago, and that I've just taken and maximized and become a bit of a celebrity from that with I Can Only Imagine, which we're going to get to that. Too.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've gotten the calls, Wally.
Yeah. But you have a new movie out, Unbreakable Boy. Okay. Yeah. Now, I have seen Unbreakable Boy.
Yeah.
I liked Unbreakable Boy. Yeah. And we'll go through parts of it because there's things in there that I did a little digging on. But I want to talk about this first. So, what is the difference between a Christian movie and a faith-based movie?
Oh, you're going to go switchfoot on me.
I am.
So,
yeah, exactly. We're Christians in a band, not a Christian band. Yeah.
The philosophical,
yes,
whole here. For us, for me, like, there's no difference. We tell stories for a living, and and typically we tell true stories, and so, we try to tell a story that can be both and.
Right.
So we embrace stories that have our perspective, have our faith, and that type of thing, that have redemption at the core of it. But then what we try to do is we try to find a mainstream overlay. I think the difference between those two ideas is we've kind of qualified. Some are like faith centric, and some are faith adjacent. But we try to do some of each. So if you look at a movie like Unbreakable Boy or Ordinary Angels that we had come out last year. Those are more faith adjacent. They're about people of faith, but more in just real life situations where it's kind of adjacent to the story. And then we have movies like Jesus Revolution or I Can Only Imagine where faith is at the heart of the story.
Right.
And so you just figure out what does this story want to be. But I think the ones that try to chase categorizing themselves just wear themselves out with stuff. It's like people are going to call you what they call you.
Right. Well, see, here's the thing, though. Like, and what got me on this track was Unbreakable Boy, okay? Yeah. Because it's not the typical Christian storyline. You've got this guy that meets this girl. They're kind of, what are we? And then she gets pregnant. They're not married. And so, like, there are people that are like, oh, it's a Erwin Brothers Christian film. And they go to a Christian movie, and they're like, wait a minute, this is not
right.
Like the War Room. You're like, so what do I do with this, And do you ever worry about that kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, it just depends on, like, American Underdog was the same way. I mean, it
correct.
Had, like when we did Kurt Warner's movie, we had to kind of confront the reality of this is a true story, and Unbreakable Boy is a true story. And
right.
So, real life tends to be messy. And so you try to figure out, how do I tell this in a way that I'm not trying to offend my audience, but I'm trying to be honest to what this person lived. And for us, the people that we're trying to reach is what we call benevolent skeptics. It's the people outside the church walls that are still asking a lot of questions. And we try to be like a kind of a planting a seed, or maybe you call it a faith gateway drug,
right?
For people outside the church to be able to say, if I move your heart and make you feel something, maybe you'll chase trying to understand that more and more. And the most simple thing we're trying to communicate is redemption. And so Unbreakable Boy was one where John Gunn, the director, he also directed Ordinary Angels, really wanted to tell this story, and he wanted it to be kind of, messy.
Okay, give a little bit of a synopsis of the story for anyone that hasn't seen it.
So, The Unbreakable Boy is really about this kid, Austin, and Austin is on the spectrum. He has autism. But he also has this brittle bone disease where his bones break really easily. And he's born into a family of these, this couple that they end up getting married. But his father in the story, played by Zachary Levi, has problems. He's an alcoholic, drinks too much, has his own spectrum issues, is really on this thing of like he's sabotaging his life. And the catalyst for change in his life is that God gave him this kid that just, he says, I wish I could enjoy anything in life as much as my son enjoys everything.
Right.
And so the journey for him is finding what really matters and finding God's purpose for his life through the son that he gave him.
Because I think in the past, before you guys really became super prevalent at Kingdom Story with telling Christian adjacent stories, I think there would have been a tendency to sanitize the story, to somehow make it like, oh, okay, they really got married beforehand, and then everything. So it ticks all the boxes that upset people, so that it gives them one less barrier to entry, but that's not reality.
Yeah.
That is not being true to the story.
Yep.
And God works in our stories and in the midst of all of our mess. We like to pretend like we got it all together, but none of us do.
No.
So, like, do you prefer doing movies that are based in truth or based on a real person, or like I haven't seen you guys do like a lot of scripted in the past few years.
I mean, we've dabbled in it some. We did Best Christmas Pageant Ever with Dallas Jenkins this past year, and that was
really good.
It was really good. He killed it. But that one was fictional, but based on a best-selling,
the book. Yeah.
So we try to base it on things people were familiar with, and try to serve, either the template for the film as being true to their real life story or being true to the source material of the book.
Right.
But I think there's something about true stories that I particularly gravitate towards, just because there is a roadmap for what people lived. And I think people ask me like about the cheese in Christian films, and I absolutely qualify myself as a faith filmmaker, and I've been part of the cheese at moments.
Okay.
But I think with the cheese, I say like the message of Christianity isn't what's cheesy. It's the delivery. And I think
100%.
a lot of times the delivery is, as Christians, we're not real comfortable sometimes with conflict. We're not comfortable with tension, and we're not comfortable with messiness. And so we never seek out to make anything edgy. And even Unbreakable Boy, it is a family-friendly film.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's some complicated things about their life, and we try to embrace the messiness of it. And I think sometimes when we kind of sanitize something to say these people never really struggled, they just went from being good people to being a little bit better, I think we end up making a Pfizer ad. It's just all the things that
so
this product can kill you this way, this way, this way, but it's got a bunch of people that are smiling. And be like, hey, it's all good. It's fine. This could, make you drop dead tomorrow. But, so we just try not to make the Pfizer ad, but we also try absolutely to earn the right to preach when it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And, I dare you to make it through Unbreakable Boy without crying.
Yeah, I got choked up in a couple points. There's a couple real good moments in it. But you're right. Like if you, I think people maybe are getting a little bit better at things that are not completely sanitized. I think that the culture inside of the church is moving a little bit further away from needing that, which I think is healthy.
Well, and I would even say that sanitized might not even be the word I would choose. What I would choose is complicated.
Yeah, okay.
Like I just think that as we've gotten better and better at telling stories, and I think Dallas Jenkins has done this great on The Chosen, is pulling in the complexity of people into the message that we really believe.
Yeah.
And I just think that maybe we're getting a little bit more self-aware that Christians are complex too.
I think it comes down to expectations a lot of times, because even like in Christian radio, there was always an expectation that it's never going to offend you. It's going to be sweet. It's going to be kind. And then I came in and
God gave them Wally.
Yeah. And then people were like, we hate you. Like we hate everything about my first 3 years in this. People hated me.
That's funny.
I got death threats in Christian radio.
That is awesome.
How great is that, right?
That is, I would have those framed on the wall.
Yes.
That's hysterical.
It's amazing. And so so I didn't fit this mold, and they didn't want to have things that were, conflict based or weren't perfect. And I kept trying to tell people, like, look, you're going to hear things that necessarily don't jive with what you want in your house from me, but use that as a tool to have a conversation with your kids.
Yeah.
I see some of the things that you're doing in your movies the same way now. Like if I take my kid to that, and then I'm telling my kid, hey, I don't want you living with anyone before you get married, save yourself, blah, blah, blah. And then the movie starts off and it's not that. Then to me as a parent, it's my job to go and reinforce my values. Go, look, this is what somebody made their choices. Now look at how those choices played out.
Sure. It's a conversation starter. I mean, and Jesus was the master at that with his parables.
Right.
He would tell parables where he wouldn't fill in all the answers. He would just, a lot of times his parables would ask uncomfortable questions or present stories that would move people emotionally that they didn't understand why. But then they come back and ask him, like, what was that about? Mm-hmm. And then he would teach. I feel like the church, the home, parents, that's their job. Our job as filmmakers is to tell an emotionally engaging story that asks the right questions and gets the conversation started.
I have to ask this question. Like I was doing some digging. The kid that plays the lead role here, unbelievable.
Yeah, our
that
Austin is great.
Guy killed it.
Yes, he is.
He was so good at playing someone with autism that I'm like, how did they get a guy with autism to do this role? Because it was so hard.
Yeah.
But as I dug, I'm like, I don't think this kid has autism. Does he?
He's on the spectrum.
But he's probably slightly on the spectrum
yeah.
because the amounts of things he had to memorize and do and act, he was so good at it.
Yeah, it was important to John Gunn to cast somebody that was authentic.
Okay.
So he went through a casting call for a lot of people, and so our main Austin, our older one, he is on the spectrum, but there is acting involved too. But he's definitely on the spectrum.
Because let me ask you this, because I watched that show, Love on the Spectrum. Have you ever seen that?
I have watched that show.
It is heartwarming, man.
It's amazing.
But the problem is, I will start to repeat some of the things that they've said, and it might sound like I'm making fun of them, but I'm trying to do them because it's so endearing. Yeah. But then you're like, if someone hears you, like, oh, you're doing a autistic voice.
Like that one episode where the guy took the girl on a date to like the paleontology park.
Yes,
it was so good.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was so good.
And that guy's great. I have a sword. And he's like, I like dinosaurs. You like dinosaurs?
It was so good. I loved it.
It's great. But then when I watched this kid play this role, I had to think: was it awkward for him, like preparing for this and acting in a way that other people watching him from the outside would be like, "Are you making fun of this?"
No, because he is like, again, he is on the spectrum, and I just think that. Lionsgate's big on that of like trying to cast people authentically. And what you're giving people is an opportunity to have a voice to show themselves. The same thing that we're trying to do as Christians. With faith film, we're really trying to, for years, if you saw a Christian on film, and still to this day, like I was watching a show the other day and it showed a Christian character. I'm like, okay, who's going to be the bad guy at the end of the episode?
Right.
At the end of the episode, guy was totally a bad guy.
Right.
And so it's like we're either the villain or the butt of the joke.
Right.
And so we get tired of it. And we're like, hey, we're fully realized people too. And I think with issues like this, like, communities like the autistic community, Unbreakable Boy did a really good job of giving voice to, hey, we're fully realized people that are much more nuanced than you give us credit. And so our little actor did such an amazing job portraying a community that he is actually a part of, but in a way that's probably a different shade than he would be in real life.
And I liked that it kind of celebrated him and the differences. Like Gavin had sent me a thing the other day on TikTok of this guy that has a song about autism.
With a little bit of tism comes a little bit of fun. If you got a bit of tism, well, you're not the only one, because they say that it's a spectrum that everybody's on. And a little bit of tism, mighty bit of fun.
To me, Gavin sent it to me, and I'm like, oh, we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you kidding me? I'm like, yeah, absolutely we
Absolutely.
are. Because you're destigmatizing
Absolutely.
it. And you're taking something that people would make fun of typically, and you're going, no, it's okay. And it's okay that we're different. And somebody's found a creative way to point that out, and it's fun, And I think that you guys did such a good job at reflecting the autism that this kid and this character had in a very positive way that it was just so, I mean, it's endearing, man. Like you're pulling for this kid the whole time,
You root for him.
It's a great movie.
Do.
It's a great movie.
Thanks, dude.
I loved it. It's Unbreakable Boy. And these guys are no strangers to making great movies. And so let's get to the reason that you are here with us right now.
Here it comes.
So when I first heard that there was going to be an I Can Only Imagine 2, I thought, A, how, and B, is this a vanity project for me? Thank you. So, I Can Only Imagine 2 is coming out. How is that even possible?
Okay, so with this, okay, here it comes.
Oh, Betty heard we're talking about this. She's in.
Betty's ignored the entire conversation about the Unbreakable Boy, and we mentioned this, and she bolts through the door. Betty, thoughts?
Are we talking about you wanting to be in the next movie, aren't you?
Absolutely, I'm wanting to.
Have you ever seen more desperation from one person?
I'm concerned. I'm like this close to the restraining order,
and I don't blame you.
Like I mentioned it to Wally. I'm like, hey, by the way, we're doing a sequel I Can Only Imagine. He's like, does the DJ come back?
That's
I'm
right.
Like, no, the DJ to come back is like, could I play somebody like a DJ?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, there's no DJs in this film. He's like, could I play an interview or could I do this? That?
Wow.
Next thing you know, casting comes back to me and it's like, this guy Wally has submitted for like 3 or 4 different roles.
Yes.
Wally,
pretty amazing.
You were so desperate.
I don't call it desperate. I call it thorough.
Gosh. Now tell me, Andy, what is the chances, like percentage-wise, let's say 0 is like restraining order, and 100% is he's the next Brad Pitt. Where is he in getting into the next movie?
Betty, that's the frustrating thing about Wally.
Yes.
It's like
there's many things.
Because on one hand you want to be like you want to run the other way.
Correct.
And on the other hand you're like, I can't help but I like this guy.
Yeah, it's a train wreck.
It's the weirdest thing. It's well, maybe I don't have to work with him every day. maybe that's just a
maybe that's just you. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not my experience.
But he kind of flip flops every day.
Yeah.
So he auditioned for this red carpet reporter.
Right.
And
crushed it too, by the way.
I'm sorry to tell you that part went to Jason Kennedy from Access Hollywood.
What? No! Seriously?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay. So you wanted a pretty boy non-talent thing. Okay, fine.
So Jason Kennedy is doing that role. Sorry. So then it was like this stage manager.
Okay.
And he was okay. He was okay.
But not good enough, right?
No.
Who got that role?
Well, this guy that has this epic beard that's a local
come
actor.
on!
So,
your beard isn't epic, though. You have to admit.
So, but I am here to offer.
Oh, okay. Now we're getting somewhere.
Wait a minute.
We got somewhere. Hang on.
Wait a minute. Think it through before you say it. You can't take it back.
Shut up, Brock.
Okay. So, I'm here to offer.
I need someone to play a tree.
Would you close? So we've kind of stereotyped you for a little while. So like in the first Imagine, you were the DJ,
correct?
Rock DJ.
That's what I do. I got to break out of that.
In American Underdog, it was voice only, but you were the shock jock.
Still a DJ.
Yeah. So that it's kind of like a stereotype.
Okay.
And this one, would you like to play our sound mixer number 1?
Sound mixer number 1? He doesn't even have a name. Okay, can I punch up some of the dialogue?
Yes.
Can I add to it?
Wait, take it back. Yeah,
take it back.
Too late.
It's got 3 lines.
Okay.
And it's going to be great.
Okay.
We'll put you in a wig.
Okay.
We'll wear, you're kind of like
wig?
Long hair guy?
Yes.
Yes.
We'll give you hair.
I love that hurt.
Yeah.
That might have been the meanest thing you said. Sound mixer number
1. So yes, so it's like our where instead of it's like Wally, but it's where's Waldo.
Okay,
and
love it.
So you kind of appear in every.
I love this.
You remember the original Spider-Man?
Yes.
They had this character actor named Bruce Campbell that the director had worked with over and over again. And so with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, he plays a different character in every film.
Love that.
So in the first one, he's like the ring announcer for the WWF wrestling thing where Spider-Man kind of finds his moment or whatever, and then the next one he's the doorman at the Broadway play. So so you're kind of our Bruce Campbell.
You're kind of like the bald big Alfred Hitchcock. He always wanted to make appearances in his own films.
Thanks. I liked his example better. I like Andy's way better.
But you meet the criteria for mine.
I fit Clint Howard.
Yes, very much. Clint Howard.
Like Ron
Howard's little brother.
Yeah.
And he feels sorry for him and he puts him in every movie.
That's it.
That's you.
I'm your Clint Howard, and I'm fine with that. Okay. I'm sound mixer number 1.
Right,
take that.
Thank you, Andy. We'll never hear the end of it.
Now I fully expect.
That's why Andy put me in, because he wants me to talk about this.
In the last one, it resulted in this awkward moment where Wally rushed the stage at the Dove Awards to try to jump on the platform first. So
that was gold.
Now that it's a repeat thing, he's going to think that this whole movie is a sequel to his story.
It is. It's I Can Only Imagine.
He's going to have a backstory where that radio DJ got fired and started a new life in a new town and became a sound mixer on the road.
You weren't,
and not even number 2. Sound mixer number 1.
I should have just said it.
He's already blowing this way out of proportion. Also,
I will let you name the character and come up with a backstory.
I love that, and I'm probably gonna play with the dialogue.
We're never going to use it in the movie.
Yeah, that's fine.
But for him,
Also, too, you weren't here when he said this, but when he was starring, as he likes to, I'm putting that in quotations. Okay, in the first Mercy Me movie, he said that everyone in the movie before him was just laying the path for him.
Yes, because I got the last line in the movie, so they've kind of opened up for me.
Why did I do that?
Right, and so I closed it. I brought it home, and you only give that kind of honor to a seasoned actor.
And I always regret it. Like with American Underdog, I called him and I said, "Hey, Wally, I've got this moment that I need a radio shock jock. Would you be interested?" And as soon as I said that, there was a ring.
Yeah, at his door.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm here. I'm here.
What do you want?" It was a Sunday, and I was there. So it doesn't matter. Lord's Day, don't care. I'm there.
That's it.
Oh, so I can't believe we've got the whole gang back together again.
We got everybody.
Stop it.
We do. We got Trace Adkins.
Yeah, Trace Atkins. We got Dennis Quaid. I won't reveal how Dennis Quaid comes in. but it's not a ghost.
Okay, good.
And it is a moment that is deeply meaningful.
I love that.
So John Michael Finley is back to play Bart.
He was great.
Got the whole band back together. And the new character.
Yes.
We have Tim Timmons.
Yes.
Who is played by the one and only Milo Ventimiglia from This Is Us and Gilmore Girls.
That is so great.
So,
I'm going to need to learn his name, how to say Ventimiglia before I meet him.
Yes.
On the set.
Who's to say you're going to meet him?
I'm Sound Mixer number 1. I meet everybody.
Chance.
He will be there.
Yes! Let's go! Let's go, Erwin! We got this!
He could cut your part out.
No!
After they get, and they show it to the audience, and the audience is like, that part where that weird guy came in with the wig on, I don't know.
We'll get you working with your acting coach. We'll get
Perfect.
it. It'll be great.
I cannot believe that Milo's going to get to do a scene with me.
Dude, so this guy, Milo, I got a little starstruck when I met Milo.
Did you?
Dude, we were like, it was funny. Bart did this video that he released on social media.
I saw it. It's funny.
It's hysterical.
Yeah.
It's like Bart being an idiot. He didn't tell me he was doing it.
Hey, I'm so honored and excited to be a part of this movie. I can only imagine too. Well, I'm not really a part of it, just my name and likeness. So I hope they find somebody that that can play me well. I guess hopefully.
Don't stress, man. Don't worry about it. This is your first film, your first big movie. You can't raise the bar too high. Let's try to manage our expectations here. They'll find someone.
Yeah, totally. Don't sweat it, Tim. They're going to find somebody admirable. But, it's the first time. So, and it's just this little, faith film. So don't get your hopes too high.
Hey, I'm Milo Ventimiglia, and I'm going to be playing Tim Timmons, a beautiful human being.
It's like this moment.
It's so good.
Like, are you kidding me?
So good.
Milo's. He's growing the beard out. He's gonna cut his hair, and he's gonna.
That is a huge get.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He was great in This Is Us. He's
Heroes.
been great. Yeah, the guy's fantastic.
But you wouldn't put him and Wally on the same level of actor, right?
I do.
I do. He said I do. Yeah.
I'll make it uncomfortable.
In his mind, it is.
Yes.
So we just let him live in the fantasy.
It's so
if
good.
If he's promoting the movie,
right?
Let him live in the fantasy.
I see.
I know why I'm here. Trust me.
You're being used.
Yeah, 100%. All day long.
And he is okay with it.
I do not care. I don't care one iota.
I told the casting team, I was like, I'm going to drop a breadcrumb with Wally and say there might be an opportunity for him to be back in the movie.
Yeah.
And as soon as I did, he's been talking about it on the air for 2 weeks. So
I know, exactly. Like right
fine.
away. Erwin's a genius. Erwin is a genius. He plays me like a fiddle. Way to go, Mr. Machiavellian.
I love it.
Yeah, and so it's fantastic.
Have some pride,
I have
Wally.
none. No, you kidding me?
None at all.
My royalties clear. Okay, those checks.
They do.
It's phenomenal.
They do.
Is this a union gig?
Yes, you will. You will earn one more step towards your SAG card.
Oh, good.
But the cool thing about it is we're filming it here in Nashville.
I love that.
And so, we've never been able to kind of stay at home and make our movies. But on this one, so I didn't think there was more of the story to tell, and I was like,
that's my question.
I didn't want to go back to it if it was a gimmick.
Yeah. So how do you I know you want to work with me again, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's the main reason.
But the art has to be there.
Yep.
The story has to be there. What is the story? I know you can't give away too much, but
so Brent McCorkle that wrote the first movie with my brother and directed Jesus Revolution with him. Brent came back and he's like, "Hey, I think that there's a story to tell here, still with the guys, and with Mercy Me." And I just said, "I don't know." And he walked me through the story, and the story happens later in life, where Bart's world kind of falls apart when he finds out that his son has these health conditions.
yeah.
And so Sam, who's an amazing music artist now. Sam has these health conditions as a child that really kind of break Bart's world, and then in the process, a lot of other tragedy befalls Bart and allows him to ask these questions of why does God allow me to go through suffering? And it's really kind of the idea of what if happily ever afters aren't real? And so it breaks the world, and he goes on this journey to try to find the answers. And the main kind of pathway to that is this guy, Tim Timmons, that gets put on his tour. And there's backstory to Tim's character that is just amazing, and it leads to this moment. And the crux of this story is about if the first movie was a son towards his father that resulted in hope.
Right.
This movie is a father towards his son that results in gratitude, and it's really about the song Even If.
But even if you don't
A story of a father to his son and sound mixer number one.
Yeah, and sound mixer number one. Yes, exactly.
It rhymes too.
Exactly. You can't get serious with this guy. He's an idiot. I take it back. Sound mixer number one is done. We're going to shift everything to sound mixer number 2. But it's just a gorgeous story. So when Brent told me, he's like, it's kind of like the spiritual sequel to I Can Only Imagine.
Right.
And I was like, no, that's the actual sequel. I can get that greenlit tomorrow.
Yeah.
So Lionsgate jumped all over. The pitch for Lionsgate, we were like pitching them. We had this whole song and dance thing. And so Brent and I are going to co-direct it. And we're telling them this whole pitch. Get 30 seconds in. And they're like, guys, obviously we're making this movie. So what are we talking about?
That was
I'm like,
easy.
well, we have another hour to go here. But it's amazing.
Cancel the dancing pony, you know.
And because we're filming it here in Nashville, we're going to need tons of extras.
Oh, good. Okay.
So if people want to be discovered and have the potential to aspire to one day be sound mixer number one,
good luck.
We'll have these big days with these concert venues and stuff like that. And so they can go to kingdomstorycompany.com/extras and they can sign up to be an extra in the film.
Gavin just wrote that down. Yeah. Gavin just wrote that down. He's trying to be me.
So it's kingdomstorycompany.com/extras and you can be the next Wally.
Yes, exactly. Here's the thing. In all seriousness with this, the fact that this is kind of more the story of Even If, that song. Mm-hmm. That song is a fantastic song because it's something that people struggle with. Like, how is God good in the midst of all of my bad? And because, like, for me, when I hear people's stories and they go, I had cancer and I was praying and God healed me. And you're like, well, that's great for you. I'm super happy for you. And I'm like, that's great. I do believe God heals. The stories that land with me are, I had cancer and, or someone in my life had cancer and they died, but God is still good. Those stories resonate with me because that's the harder story. The success, the big win is easy. But what do you do when your world doesn't look like you wanted it to look, or it's painful and you wonder where God is? That movie has to be made.
That's
because
the movie
we're
making.
Yeah, see, that will make a huge difference in people's lives. And if you let me do a little run like that and sound mixer number one, like, I got you.